I just want to make it clear that I do, in fact, actually like Destiny 2. I played it for 7 years, or however long it's been out. But every time I make a video on it, it's bloody, oh, the new dungeon weapons are shit, or why does Destiny 2 feel so dead, or if Destiny 2's next reprise raid is Scourge of the Past, I'll jump off the Schnell building. It's just, every season, it feels like it's falling off quicker and quicker. This season in particular, Season of the Wish, I probably got a good 2 weeks out of before I was basically checked out. And maybe that's partially because it's a 6-month long season, so I don't exactly need to rush to get things completed. But I just feel more and more like the game's just not for me anymore. Look, I'm a weird freak who likes to grind for things until the end of time. Things that you can grind for have been steadily removed from the game for the past, I don't know, a couple of years at least. You know, just all these little things sort of coming together. Legendary shards are going, vendor ranks have long gone, crafted weapons have made it so there's just no reason to grind anything, basically. Why can't they just let me collect some shit? Here's the thing about seasonal content. I keep thinking, what the hell is even the point? Pretty much all of it just gets binned at the end of the year, likely to never return ever again. Like, when's Catch Crash ever gonna be like in the game ever again? That's just gone forever. You'll never see that again. It's just like so impermanent, and as my interest wanes towards the end of the year, and just generally at the moment, it seems like I could just completely miss out on some of this content and never see it ever again. And it makes me think how much it must suck to develop this content, knowing it's just going to be binned forever. It's no wonder that all we get are a constant selection of reused areas, because why the hell would you even bother making something new if it's just gone? And that very neatly brings me on to the vaulted content situation. So back with Beyond Light, they binned a bunch of shit. Content that has now been gone for longer than it was in the game in the first place. There was 5 raids, a whole campaign, 3 planets, Mercury, Titan and Io, and then the next year, or maybe the year after, I can't quite remember what the timeline was, they went and vaulted the Tangled Shore, and along with it, most of the Forsaken story, which is widely considered to be the best one. And then, now in the game, we're at a point where things are sort of coming back, but not really. D2 Mars sort of exists in like one weird strike, and Titan is currently sort of in the game a bit, in that one seasonal activity, but that's about to get vaulted again as well, which would in fact make it the second area that's about to get vaulted for a second time. The first one being the Leviathan, which was originally the location for most of the raids that had been vaulted, and then they brought it back in Season of the Haunted in a haunted Leviathan situation, and then vaulted it again. The thing I keep thinking about the vaulted content is that all the things I want back, which is the raids and nothing else basically. I mean, it'd be nice to have everything back, but all I really care about is the raids. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. Like, when is it going to happen? Bungie hasn't even mentioned it, like, a single time. And I mean, what are they even going to do? Are they going to bring back a raid pack with Leviathan and the other raid layers? Or, like, what are they even going to do? They can't just bring it back. Like, they can't say, whoops, sorry guys, whoops, here it is, it's fine, don't worry about it. That's not going to happen. It's going to be some big deal. They're going to be like, here you go, we're going for round 2 of World's First Leviathan, and then all of the other raid layers as well. And, like, when is any of that even going to happen? Assuming, you know, the content sort of release schedule stays, you know, relatively similar to how it is now, which I imagine it would. Final Shape comes out, the episode thing starts after that, and presumably during the episodes we'll get a dungeon raid dungeon situation, as we did with the seasonal model and the DLC whatever situation. My assumption is Final Shape, raid, obviously, we know it's going to be a raid, there'll be a raid there, so that's that one ticked off. Episode 1, dungeon presumably. Episode 2, reprise raid. Better be Wrath of the Machine. If it's not Wrath of the Machine, I'm going to be very, very, very upset. Episode 3, another dungeon. That's what I assume is happening, because that is a very good release cadence, and I very much enjoy raid dungeon throughout the year. They better be sticking to that, is all I'm saying. Right. Let's talk about exotics. Calling back to my desire to grind from earlier, I was thinking about this, and I think the game could greatly value having more exotics to grind for. And I think a big part of this is the season pass exotic. There is always one seasonal exotic which is just in the season pass. And you just, as soon as the season starts, you just claim it and away you go. And I think that's actually a bad idea. It honestly should probably just drop from some sort of seasonal content, or even just like add it to the world drop pool for that season. Because exotics, it feels like something that you should be chasing, but you just get it immediately at the start of the season, and then just have to do the same grim catalyst quest. I don't know, maybe you could put it as a world drop. Maybe that's not a very good idea, you just get it from Xur anyway. Or maybe put it in the seasonal activity. The exotic chase was much more interesting interesting in Destiny 1, and maybe early Destiny 2. But obviously, at this point, everyone who cares has all the exotics already. I imagine Bungie doesn't want another Destiny 1 Galahorn situation, probably. The exotic missions are all bangers though, for the most part. I'm not a huge fan of the craftable / random roll exotics, although they're not really doing the random rolls anymore, they're all just sort of becoming craftable, which I guess is fine, I suppose. At least that gives you a reason to do the activities a few times to unlock the upgrades. Now, raid exotics. Raids tend to be the places they just do something crazy for exotics. They just try something nuts. Just go nuts on this exotic. Just do whatever you want. Sometimes they're just a drop, sometimes they're a weird quest no one wants to do. Now, it took me 87 looted clears of King's Fall to get Touch of Malice, and I loved it. It was great to have something to grind for to get on every week and do my 3 Oryx checkpoints. I mean, 87 in terms of Destiny 2 is probably a bit extensive, but at least it gave me a reason to do that raid. Root of Nightmares had the drop chance increase tied to triumphs. I thought that was a good idea. And then Crota had a weird shit quest. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It didn't, like, make you do anything weird. It was basically a random roll drop, but with a few extra steps. And Garden of Salvation, fuck that right off. I'm the kind of guy who just likes to do a raid. And if a Garden of Salvation is ever suggested, someone always comes in and mentions a div run. And I just don't want to do that. You can't make me do that again. I don't want to do it. And to round off the exotic section, armor. I don't know. I guess the armor is fine. It needs to be common enough so it's not a massive pain in the ass to get good stats on. So I think it's just fine as it is. Maybe if it had other activities it could be unlocked from, it might make it slightly more interesting. But then why the hell would you even bother doing a lost sector? Just leave it as it is, I reckon. It's all good, unless they're going to majorly rework armor and stats. I don't really care about this too much. Actually, it is quite good in terms of things you can grind the hell out of. I've just already got all the armor I'll ever need. Okay, legendary shards. This is a big one for me. Destiny 2 doesn't have a lot of things that it allows me to collect, and legendary shards are the last bastion of a number that would continuously go up, and basically served no purpose for me beyond that. And now, with the final shape, they're getting binned, and that makes me very upset. I like to collect things, alright? I used to try and collect a bunch of weird Moments of Triumph t-shirt codes in my inventory and vault, but that space is incredibly limited and can't be sacrificed for these shitty little items that are just nothing. So they've basically all had to get deleted to make space for weapons. In an ideal world, I'd just be able to collect the weapons, but the vault space situation is so grim and there's so many weapons in the game and so many variants of these weapons that I just can't hold on to it all. It's just not possible. I just get the feeling this legendary shard removal is not going to work out well. We're not quite into it yet, but I can sense, I just get this feeling that something's not going to be quite right. I just don't think Glimmer is the best currency to be required for every single thing you could ever need in the game. Haha, so just recording an extra little bit to throw in here. What I was going to be talking about right now was Glimmer and how it's not, and how it's a shit currency or whatever, and the cap's too low. But in the This Week in Destiny that was just recently released, it's getting doubled, so they preempted me, which is crazy because they don't even know that I exist. So now this is here instead. But everything else I said about legendary shards still stands. They also said, right under the Glimmer thing, that they're adding the ability to be able to redesign your character. And that's something that people have been asking for like, I don't know, a million years at this point. They've probably been asking for this since Destiny 1. The great thing about when Destiny is in a bad spot is they're actually listening to shit, which is great. Honestly, it's actually really good to have things like this that you really want to happen. To have a lot of like quality of life stuff that you actually really want to actually happen. It's just a shame that it kind of feels like the game is ending soon. Even though they keep saying there's more content past the final shape, I just don't quite believe that yet, even though it is obviously definitely true. I kind of feel the same way about Fireteam Finder. Like, it's a great thing to have, but it just feels a bit late. Anyway, that's it. Back to the rest of whatever I was talking about. I guess I'll have a quick once-over of the core playlist activities. Gambit, it's fucked. No chance for Gambit. It's over for Gambit. They've removed it from the bloody seasonal challenges. Gambit's got no chance. Crucible, I don't really care about this either, but they do seem to at least be trying with Crucible. You know, they got their strike team, there's some maps or something coming. There's game modes that people seem to like. Good luck to them. I don't really care about Crucible at all anymore. I just can't be bothered. I play Trials occasionally if there's a weapon I'm interested in, but that's about as far as as far as I'm going to go with that. And I don't even know what to say about the Vanguard playlist. We're currently on a cadence of 1 strike a year. The amount of strikes per year we've been getting has been slowly declining as each one passes. With the Witch Queen, there was 2 strikes. With Lightfall, there was 1 strike. So Final Shape, I don't like the trend that that's going, but I think surely we'll get at least 1 with Final Shape. Not to mention all the strikes that were bloody vaulted. There's just very little reason to do the Vanguard Ops playlist at all. It just doesn't really have much appeal. GMs, I think, are in a fine state. You know, they're still relatively difficult. People seemingly have mixed opinions on the battleground GMs, but I think it's fine. It's something new at least. And people didn't seem to receive that whole strike rework too well, particularly on Lake of Shadows, which, to be honest, I don't really know how I feel about. I liked the original Lake of Shadows because I could optimize the hell out of it and do it in like 2 minutes. And the new one sort of removes all of that fun time for me. But I can understand why they would do it because it was just like a way easier strike than all the other ones. And the same goes for the other one they reworked, an Inverted Spire, which they said they were going to rework, but it hasn't happened yet. So I can only imagine that they just stopped doing that because no one really liked Lake of Shadows. I guess it's just a shame that the old versions aren't still playable. It'd be nice if you could just launch them from the little node for the strikes. So it wasn't like they were just completely deleted from the game. But I don't know, at least they tried something with this. And hopefully we get more strikes soon, because I love strikes. Look, I think Final Shape will be good. Despite this game seemingly becoming less and less for me as a player, I think Final Shape will still be, you know, an enjoyable thing to experience. But beyond that, I don't have a lot of hope for this game. I mean, I'm sure the episodes will be fine at the very least, but despite having a different name than seasonal content, it kind of seems like it's going to play out in a similar way. You know, you got to wait your 6 weeks to do your whatever. I mean, it's slightly different. It's in 3 acts, so that might be something. But it still kind of gives me the impression it's going to play out in the same manner. And then beyond that, I don't know how they can keep going with Destiny 2, particularly without, you know, vaulting any more content or bringing back sunsetting, which everyone will hate again. Especially when people want those old vaulted things back, rather than having more stuff removed. The game is just in such a weird, disjointed state in terms of the Destiny 2 launch content. There's just weird chunks of it that still exist, but most of it's all gone. Ideally, for me, what would happen is Final Shape would release, and then the episodes would be sort of putting the game and all its deleted bits back together, and then moving on to a Destiny 3 the year after, or however long that would take. But that doesn't seem very likely, does it? Especially considering the situation Bungie's in right now. They're developing like 3 games, and only one of them's actually been released, and is somehow apparently not performing very well in terms of monetary gain, despite their wide variety of silver offerings. It's just not looking good. I don't think they can throw on another game to develop while they're doing those other 2, and this one's not doing great at funding the rest of them. But that's the only thing that I think would really solve all these problems. Just a big reset where they can build it from the ground up to be exactly what they want it to be, unlike Destiny 1 and 2. Actually, Destiny 1 was probably exactly what they needed it to be, but Destiny 2, that was made under Activision, and then they were no longer part of Activision, and they're like, alright, we're just gonna keep updating Destiny 2 forever until the end of time. And that just doesn't seem like it's gonna be very good. Ultimately, none of the things I say matter at all, and why the hell would anyone even care? God, it's so grim. Right, that's it. No more Destiny 2 videos until I'm actually excited about the game again. This is the last one. For now. I'm sure when Final Shape rolls around, I'll be very into it again. Or maybe even with whatever shit they're releasing in the meantime. God, it's just like every time I'm on, it's just nothing but sadness. Keep it light for fuck's sake. Anyway, what do you think? Comment on this video, tell me the things that you think. Speaking of farming engagements, like the video also. And if you want to see Destiny videos, well, don't fucking bother subscribing to this channel. Actually do though, there is other ones you can watch. They'll be on the screen probably right now that you can click on and go to. They're probably, I don't know what they are, but they'll be there. But there is other things. Go and watch a Pokemon video, because apparently that's all I'm doing now. There's also a RuneScape one, but no one cares about that. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna leave now. Goodbye.